I want to ask you a question. Here's the question. The question is, do you know you? Now, before you give me an answer, I want to ask the question again. If you say you know you, how do you know if you know you? This is what I've discovered, and that is many people think they know themselves, and they don't. I'm going to tell you how to get to know you better, and I'm going to tell you why it's so important in this video. Stay tuned. I was recently doing a training for people that are in this academy that I run called the Premier Leadership Academy. This is what I believe. I believe that if you are going to do anything in this world that creates transformation in the lives of people, then that's going to really require the utilization of 3 skills. 1, you have to do some speaking. 2, you're going to have to do some coaching, which is leveraging influence. And 3, you're going to have to do some leading. You don't go as far as your dream, you go as far as your team. So we've got academies or schools that train people in those skills, right? So it's not, we don't just necessarily train people to be speakers. Some people want to be speakers, but we train, because most people won't be speakers, but everybody's going to have to do some speaking. And most people won't be coaches, but everybody's going to have to do some coaching. And everybody's a leader, because leadership isn't a role, it's a responsibility. And even if you don't feel like you've got a leadership title, you're going to have to utilize some leadership tactics in your life. So anyway, I'm doing this training, right? And so I'm doing this session on self-leadership, which is the ability to intentionally influence yourself toward a certain objective. Like, the most important person you will lead is you, and the most difficult person you will ever lead is you. Like, and everything you're trying to do is all about self-leadership. There is no accomplishing of goals without self-leadership. Right? Fitness goals, you got to lead yourself, because you got to do it. Nobody can do that but you. Spending goals, nobody can do that but you. Relational goals, nobody can do that but you. So you have to lead yourself in that regard. And so I'm doing this teaching, right? And so there's this part of it on self-leadership where I spend a session on self-awareness, because I'm realizing that if a person's going to influence themselves toward their objectives, then they got to know themselves in a way that the average person doesn't know themselves. So the average person can't lead themselves because the average person doesn't know themselves. Because you cannot lead yourself with will. Listen guys, willpower doesn't work. Willpower doesn't work. If willpower worked, we would have reached all of our goals now. If willpower worked, we would have been all that we know God's called and created us to be. See, some things are accomplished by strength. Some things are accomplished by strategy. So we need more than will, we need skill. And I'm like, man, if people are gonna do that, they're gonna need the skill. They gotta develop the skill, first of all, of self-discovery, so they can live with self-awareness, so that you know how to influence the you that you are, not the you that you think you are. Oh, I can quit, I can stop. When I get serious, I'll lock it. That's an indication of a person that doesn't accurately know themselves. And, I think it's incredibly essential and important that we spend some time here, because I think these are the types of concepts that are clearly communicated. This type of concept is clearly communicated in scripture, but it's like these sorts of scriptures that call for self-examination and self-discovery and self-awareness are often scriptures that are underemphasized. Like in 2 Corinthians 13:5, Paul says, hey, examine yourself to see if you be in the faith. Right? He's like, hey, you have to intentionally engage into some self-discovery, because you're making assumptions about your spiritual status or the place you're on in your spiritual journey, and you might not be where you think you are. But the only way that you can see that is if you create some space to engage in self-discovery. Paul says in another place, if we would judge ourselves, we would have no need to be judged. Like the most dangerous type of deception is self-deception, because the nature of self-deception is you don't know you're deceived. And so the Bible's kind of like replete with this information about, hey, be aware, be like, Peter talks about being sober-minded. What does that mean? He's not just talking about not being intoxicated with alcohol there. He's talking about not being intoxicated by emotions. Be sober. That's That's a call to intentionality. That's a call to self-awareness. James even says, hey, don't just be hearers of the word and so deceive yourself. Do what it says. Meaning that I can hear a truth that is so impactful and powerful and inspiring that I can make the assumption that the truth that I heard is a truth that's changed me. When actually the truth that I heard is a truth that revealed to me that something can change. But whether or not something will change is going to be based on my application of that truth. That's what Jesus talks about in Matthew chapter 7, when he talks about one of the ways wisdom works is wisdom is revealed in how a person applies the truth that they heard in a way to building their life on it. So he compares two houses being built, one on sand, one on a rock. A storm comes, one falls down, one stays standing. And the one that stays standing was built on a rock. The one that falls down was built on sand. Sand, world principles, rock, God's principles. And principles simply the truths you make a decision to live by. So like the quality of your life is going to be based on principles, the truths you make a decision to live by, your values, the things that are most important to you, and your standards, the least you allow of yourself and others. So some people don't have the life that they want. They got the right principles. And they got the right values. They don't have the right standards. Or some people got the right standards, but they got the wrong values. And some people got the right standards and the right values, but they're living by the wrong principles. So James is like, hey, don't just be deceived by what you hear. Like you gotta execute. You gotta do what it says. And so in my book, Your Purpose is Calling, I kind of unpack a framework for self-discovery, like 4 areas where a person needs to know themselves. And I actually talk about these 4 areas in one of my sections in the Leadership Academy that we lead. And I want to walk you through them now. And the first one is this: unique design. I had to know, how have I been uniquely designed? Because a lot of times I've learned that people criticize things about themselves that have been customized by God. You know, I'm just a quiet person. What's wrong with that? Yeah. What's wrong with that? Now, you can't be quiet all the time. You got to know when to talk, but talking might not be by default. It might be by design, but you got to do it. But what's wrong with that? Well, you know, they say I'm a creative person. What's wrong with that? You have to know, right? So when I talk about unique design, it means that you're able to distinguish between where has life shaped me and where has God shaped me. And where has life shaped me and God used it? And where has life shaped me and the enemy used it? How has life formed me in ways that are inconsistent with God's unique design for my life? And how do I get reformed in that era? Spiritual formation, right? Because all of us have been formed, but some of us have been deformed. So the enemy has used circumstances in life, trauma, hurt, pain, misinformation, bad examples, that's formed us in some ways. So we need to be reformed, right? But the point that I'm making is that unique design helps you draw the line and distinguish between how has life shaped me and how has God made me. And God made some of you gregarious and outgoing and extroverted, and God made the rest of you reflective and analytical. And if it were not for some people being gregarious and outgoing, and things of that particular nature, many of us will be lonely and without company and without comfort and without some entertainment. And if it were not for those that were reflective and analytical, there are many inventions that we now enjoy that would not come into existence. So the world needs all of us. But you got to know your unique design, right? Then you got to know your unique desires. What are some things that you want for you? We both can walk in a room. You can see something you like. I can see something I like. And neither one of us like the same thing. Like I was recently walking in stores. I don't do a lot of shopping at all. It's not my thing. It's not fun to me at all. It's not fun. Nothing about it is fun. We're on an outing. Some people out, they like to shop. So I'm walking around with them shopping or whatever. So, but if I walk in and there's something I like, and then there's something else that somebody else like, and there might be something that somebody like for me. And I'm like, you like that for me? I don't like that for me. It's unique desires. And so it's important for you to know, like, what is it that you actually want? Because I'm not saying all of your wants are God, but God's giving you some of your wants. There are some things that you want to because God's giving you the want to. And so if you don't know what you want out of life, you won't be able to lead yourself to it. And 3, there's unique dreams. And this is what we would call vision. Desires are what you want for you. Your dreams are what you want for the world. That's going to be tied to some discontent. We both can walk in a room, we both see a problem, it bother you, it not bother me. It bother you because that's a problem you called to solve. That's what you see for the world. And you didn't know that, so you can lead yourself to that. And then there's unique destiny. That is, what is it that you want people to say about you when you're no longer here? What will you be known for? At your funeral, what will they get up and say? And is it what you want said? Live your life that way. And these are 4 frameworks of self-discovery. I hope they just, I hope it just adds tremendous value to you. If you are a person that hears a training, a teaching like this, and you realize God is enough for me, Sunday is not. I need more than just spiritual development. I need personal development from a faith-based and scriptural perspective, then I've got something I want you to check out. It's called, it's my coaching and mentoring community. It's called Daniel's Den. You can go to danielsden.com. I only open it up a couple.
In the silence, I hear your voice, whispers of forever. A heartfelt choice to love without limits, to give without shame. In your eyes, my heart finds its flame. We'll chase the sunset, we'll dance in the rain. Our love will shine brighter with every heartbeat's pain. We'll rise above the noise, our love will be the light. In the darkest of nights, we'll find our way to the light. Lost in the moment, our love will ignite.
Times a year, but get on the wait list if it's not open so that you can be notified when we open it back up. We'd love to have you as a part of that tribe and that community, because as you discover you can make a difference in the world. Take care.